Okay. Hi. Hey, Keith.
Hello.
We're live. It's a stream.
Wow.
I know, right?
Stream.
I can tell
All
you're
right,
excited.
I've just been waiting so long. I feel like I've been slowly petrifying into stone over the ages.
Oh, come on. That wasn't even by run button standards. That wasn't even a wait. You're fake.
That was 90 minutes. I feel
You're
like
you're a
it was
fake
90 minutes.
coworker, actually. Yeah. Here we are. Titanic's not working. God damn it.
Titanic is on its way to maybe working.
It's on its way to maybe working, and I think maybe is operative in this case. But here we are. We're on my Switch. We could play Dragon Quest Builders, Keith, but we could also play any of these that strike your interest.
Well, the plan was to play Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah.
What is that? Skyward Sword HD, no. Zero interest. Minecraft, obviously, no. Earth Defense Force World Brothers. Okay, that I have no idea what that is, so that's a maybe.
That's an Earth Defense Force for kids. I played it for 2 seconds. It seems bad.
Okay, so then no. And then Metroid Dread, obviously, no. And then
Wow.
Mario 3D World, super obviously, no.
Wow. Did you know they added the Jungle Book to the Aladdin and Lion King collection?
I didn't know that.
Is that a yes?
It didn't sound like it, did it?
I'm just covering my bases. All right, let's play Dragon Quest Builders. Hey, Keith, welcome to my castle town.
Nice.
Oh, the sun's going down. It used to be an open town where everyone could come and go as they please, but because of all of the raids from the monsters, I had to enclose my settlement.
Well, it's only natural that
Fire-breathing
when outsiders try to come in, they cause problems.
That's really what's going on here in Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah.
There's problems being caused.
Yeah. It may not sound like the best message, but it's easy to do. It's easy to sell it when everyone that isn't your friends is literally a monster.
Yeah. So this is Dragon Quest Builders is
This game came out 3 years ago? 4?
No. It might be like 6 at this point. Time doesn't make sense anymore.
2. This is 2.
No, this is 1.
Oh, wait. You told me that we were gonna play 2.
No, I either said 1 or I didn't say a number and you just assumed 2.
I guess it was probably that second one because I so don't give a shit about this first one. Why would I even consider it?
What is the difference? Oh my god.
The second one was so good.
You just didn't play the first one. They were both good.
No, they were different, and I watched some of this one.
Oh my god.
Online, and it's not as good. You didn't even get to the Act 1 climax of 2, so I don't want to hear it. You don't even know what that game is yet.
First of all, yes, I did. Second of all, you're not hearing me. I literally haven't said anything negative about Dragon Quest Builders 2. All I'm doing is playing the first one because I never finished it.
Yeah, but you're not letting me say negative stuff about the first one. That's where
You
that's
didn't
my
play
issue.
it.
Right.
You played less of 1 than I played of 2, so how am I at fault here?
I just feel like by not specifying 1, which obviously doesn't exist to me, you've tricked me somehow.
I mean, and you don't need me to say that this was already our backup because you ixnayed my first suggestion for literally the same reason. That you just decided it doesn't exist to you.
And what was that? I'm forgetting.
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Right. Another game that doesn't exist.
I even gave you an offer. I mean, obviously these are not selected, but even these 10 games, you're like, all of these games don't exist to me.
None of these games exist.
You want to see Earth
Minecraft
Defense Force
exists to
World
me.
Brothers?
No, we can do sell me on build. Here's the thing.
I didn't think I had to. I thought you were just gonna be like, yeah, Dragon Quest Builders.
Okay, let's reset and I'll do that.
Okay. Here we are at Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, sick. I don't really even know about this one. I assumed that we were playing the second one, but it's super awesome that it's this one instead.
You might know, maybe just from looking at it, that it's a Minecraft-inspired Dragon Quest game, and it seeks to create a synthesis between the old original Dragon Quest game and Minecraft into a new game, because in that old game everything was squares, and in Minecraft everything is blocks, and someone said, this is something. We should make a game of this.
And they could.
And they did.
Yeah.
And this is my town. It started as just a couple walls, and then I made the rest of it. And I have NPCs. There's a story. Unlike Minecraft, this is not procedural in really any way.
I'm going to use the run button account to tweet that we're live on YouTube.
Good. And it's actually... This game is scripted. One of the weaker elements of this game is that the overworld, at least in this first scenario...
Dragon Quest one word or two?
Is Minecraft one word?
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest is 2 words.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was 2 words or if it was 1 word, like camel cased.
Sure. I'm gonna bump you up. You seem quiet to me. And why would my ears be different from anyone else's ears?
Oh, you sound quiet as fuck too.
Really? I'll just lower this game down then.
Yeah, lower that game. You sound, yeah, you are now way quieter than me on the stream.
Way quieter than you?
Yep.
Oh, I don't want that. Well, I didn't raise you. I didn't raise your voice up.
Okay, so you should bump the game down, bump me up, and then slam you up.
I don't feel like I don't think that's an option.
Yeah. For people in the chat room, Kylie is streaming, and we keep realizing over and over again that the budget audio interface that Kylie bought is garbage.
It's even there's a compression. XSplit is doing a compression to me, and it's still too quiet.
Well, compression doesn't always make quiet. Compression will make you the loudest bits quieter unless you boost it enough.
Yeah, I guess
so. Maybe your
true.
compression settings are bad because you actually sound worse on the stream than you do to me. So you might be over compressed on the stream.
I'm dying. Oh wait, no.
They're not really
These
hurting
are slides,
you. You could
actually.
Yeah. They could attack you for 45 minutes, I think, and you'd be fine.
Okay.
Ben Schumacher says, oh shit, I was playing Dragon Quest Builders 2 all morning. This is exciting. Ooh, but actually, it's a little less exciting.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
Dragon
dude.
Quest Builders 2.
Sorry, this is Dragon Quest Builders 1, a totally terrible, bad game that's nothing like Dragon Quest Builders 2 in any way, and somebody who likes the second one but hasn't played the first one has no hope of appreciating this game. And I'm sorry to let you know that.
Yeah.
I think Dragon Quest Builders 2 seems like a game that marginally improves upon Dragon Quest Builders 1. Okay. Let me check what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay, did you change the audio?
No.
Why?
Wait, I bumped me up by some decibels. And I lowered the game. That's what I did. Game down, me up, you same.
I think you could even lower the game more.
Okay. Surely I can't.
Moose Moosing says Kylie sounds muffled, which is because she's streaming, so I should be the one that sounds muffled compared to her. But
Yes,
It's just
I
the stupid
know.
Behringer.
I know. Let's for science, let's pretend there's no fucking thing I can do about how shitty my voice sounds because we've been trying to fix it for 2 years.
Yeah. It's
And
just the Behringer.
It's just it's just the thing I'm using is bad, and we need to get a new one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know. what
And
I
I
need to do.
feel like that mic that you have doesn't play well with the Behringer. It
Apparently
is.
not.
It sounds so much better than the Behringers that we used to use, but it always was kind of like a warmer, like rounder sounding mic, and this is obviously a very warm and round sounding interface, and so it
Okay.
just like muffles the hell out of everything.
Sure, I see that.
Versus something like those old Behringers, which were like pretty like bright and sharp to a fault. I bet would sound maybe better coming out of that mic, or coming through that interface. I mean, but that's just a wild guess.
Well, it's getting to be night, so I should go sleep in my room. This is my room. It's got a fireplace in it. It's got a bathtub in it. I can take a bath whenever I
Josh
want.
says pumped to see some Dragon Quest Builders 2 though, and Moose Moosington says I love Dragon Quest Builders 2.
No, honestly, I was stuck on a part last night and went to look up a guide for Dragon Quest Builders 1. There is literally not a walkthrough for this game on the internet, and everything is just guides for Dragon Quest Builders 2. Like, Builders 1 does not exist according to the internet. What just happened?
Screen share froze for me.
I think is it back?
Oh, it is back. Yeah.
Yeah, it crashed or something.
Okay.
It hiccups.
Okay. So you were already like all upset about people forgetting this game.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that this was a small little. It was a sleeper hit. It was a sleeper hit that led to the marginal success of the second game. It doesn't mean this game's bad. It just means that people didn't know about it. That's all.
I knew about it. At
Yeah,
the time,
from
I
me.
remember. What's that?
Yeah, from me.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to learn about games is from you.
Yeah, but everybody learns about games from their favorite online video game news resource, Run Button.
That's true. You're right. So I guess it doesn't count.
Yeah, that's a bomb. I hadn't used one of those before. It seems to work good.
Yeah, it seems to.
So I have to
So
collect.
what's the gist of this game?
The gist of this game is, it's like a remake of Dragon Quest 1, but instead of the hero saving the world, you wake up and like the villain took over the world for like 100 years, and everybody in the world forgot how to build things except you, because you're the legendary builder, the one person who still has the ability to take two things and make a third different thing out of the two things. And you move throughout the world, spreading your gift with others and reteaching the world how to build.
Okay, so it's the plot of the second one is the same plot.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's the plot.
Does it have the thing where everyone is like racist towards builders?
No,
Really
that's
funny aspect.
no.
of two?
It's the opposite. In this one, they've been oppressed for a long time, and there's legends of the builders, so everyone's very excited. And I think in the second one, the twist is that Hargon, the villain of Dragon Quest II, had been spreading malicious rumors about builders in order to get people against you. But that's not so in Dragon Quest 1.
Yeah, everywhere you go in the second one, you have to like help people enough times so that they don't think building is evil.
I think in this one, it's like either they know you and they're excited, or they just have not even heard of the concept of building, and you blow their mind by being like, look at these two sticks, now they're a bigger stick. Boom.
It is a fundamentally funny concept.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Because it's like, I guess the question is, how do you take a game about crafting and find a way to make that heroic? And it's like, what if you were the only person who could do that?
It's the ultimate like '90s like movie trailer guy voice, like
In
in
a
a world where
world.
no one could build.
It's yeah, the thing that made me bounce off this game the first time, and it's one of the main differences between this and Dragon Quest II, though maybe not different enough if you ask me. Is that the first time I'm playing this game, I'm having a ton of fun. I'm getting into the story. I'm like, hey, we're working on a little town. Our town's growing. We're learning things about the story. This is really cool. I love this. It feels like we're getting into the mid-game now. I'm excited. And then it's like, congratulations, you finished Chapter 1. And it dumps you back to the main screen. And it's like, Chapter 2 now available. And it's just a whole different scenario in a different location. Because your character was like, well, I'm finished here. On to my next location. But there was no indication that that's what was going to happen. So it's like, what if like a new SimCity game came out and you were building a city and then it was just like, oh, you're done now, build a new city. You're like, wait, I was working on that one. So it kind of took me out of the experience. I think this time, now that I know that that's going to happen, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it is still kind of a bummer, and it's actually one of the weak points of Dragon Quest Builders 2 as well.
Yeah.
Where they try to fix this problem by giving you like a hub world, and each act is its own separate like world, but you can go to and from all of those places.
Right.
But it still is inconveniently disparate.
Right. Yeah, all they in Dragon Quest Builders 1 here, they're literally whole separate scenarios. There is no other than story stuff, light story stuff,
Yeah.
I guess. There's no connective tissue between the chapters at all. And in Dragon Quest 2, Builders 2, I was hoping that they would completely do away with this dynamic, and instead they just kind of said,
They
well,
sort of
it's
half-did away with it.
they half-did away with it. It's like it's still chapter-based, but you can move between the different chapter areas at will if you want to go back.
And then the real tragedy of this is that they give you your like free play hub, but then they don't do a very good job of like directing any play there. It's sort of just like, well, now you'll just want to. We have all these awesome scenarios with great stories that like are encouraging you to build like through directed play.
Right.
Surely you'll want to just do whatever the fuck you want in the center area, like your hub. But I kind of am like, no, that directed stuff is so good that I want you to direct me here too.
Right.
Like, maybe not as much, but it is like kind of like, oh, and now the game's like over and you've unlocked everything and build to your heart's content, and you're like, well, if you're not gonna like tell me any more stuff about anything, my heart is kind of already at the content.
Right.
So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Procedurally generated content.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Minecraft is this very open-ended, procedurally generated thing. And Dragon Quest has always been, like, a heavily scripted linear thing. And I don't think the game... So far in the series hasn't been able to, like, truly thread the needle between those two things and find some kind of synthesis. It's more just like, it is linear. It's a linear scripted Minecraft in a way.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. It's just like, yeah, there's
not
not
only
much
is
to
it not
do
bad,
when you have no direction.
Not only is it not bad, I like it a lot more than I like Minecraft.
Yeah, I think when I first started playing Builders 1, I was kind of like, whoa, maybe this is my new Minecraft. But it's not quite. It's its own thing, which is
It's its own thing. Yeah, I was also kind of surprised at how not like Minecraft it is. Even though what you're doing is largely the same actions, it feels a lot different when there's like a story around it.
I need to.
As much as I like making my own fun in games, and I can turn a game that people don't like into a game that I really love by finding those things, It's it never really happens in Minecraft. First of all, I don't like playing it on normal mode. I only like playing it on peaceful mode.
Okay. That's still, I mean, that's still that's sort of the median option between survival and creative.
Right, yeah. Creative is like a god mode, and peaceful is just no enemies.
Like, the thing
so
is,
it's the exact same game with no enemies in it.
if you're somebody whose favorite way to play Minecraft is creative, you would probably hate Dragon Quest Builders, because it is like the opposite of that.
Right. But the way that this game handles combat and stuff, I think is actually really fun. The reason I play on peaceful in Minecraft is because I don't like how they do it. Like, I think it's always been not fun.
Yeah, I'm a survival player, but I think in recent years they made the monster spawn rate on survival mode in Minecraft like totally out of control. It's like not fun to me anymore.
Yeah, I've only played survival a few times, like a couple times by myself and a couple times like in a server with friends, and I always felt that the combat was such a major distraction to the fun of the game for me that I never bothered to engage with it. It was always just like, I'm trying to mine here, buddy. Like, this cave, I know this cave is empty. Like, I don't care that the game is built in a way. Like, it always felt not fun when an empty cave would just all of a sudden be filled with things because it was kind of dark in one corner. Like, that sucks. That's not fun.
Fill it with torches. That's the whole game, man.
Yeah, but then you miss like one little part, and there's just like 6 guys in there now.
I think the difference is they have eased that back, where it's not as easy. I think monsters don't spawn as readily in the one random corner of your like mine that is a little too dark. But the balance on that is that like when monsters do spawn, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. And then it's like, the day and night cycle is like pretty fast in Minecraft, and like the last time I played was fairly recently. It was like, I don't know, it was over the pandemic at some point. My cousin Ted had a server, and I had a decent amount of fun playing it, but it was like, 60% of my time I feel like was spent navigating the torch path through the woods, like trying not to get murdered by a monster that would kill me in one hit, because it was the beginning of the game. And it basically was not fun to do.
One of the things I did in Minecraft that I'm most proud of, because it was a lot of work, was that my daughter and I had this like shared survival world where we kind of like, our house was in this kind of like valley area that would get beset upon by a lot of monsters from different sides, and I like spent a bunch of hours like building a whole fence around our entire area, and like like I had to make like an ocean, like part of it was a shore, so the monsters would just swim around like in the ocean over to my area, and I had to build like a seawall that was far enough out that the AI would not try to leave shore and swim around it to get into my area. And then we could just hang out in the middle of the night and no monsters could get to us. I put a torch under like every tree.
How many torches is that?
It was a few torches, I'll say. It was more than 2. But my daughter mostly does not care for survival.
But this was leading to me saying that despite like when I get in a Minecraft mood, I will play it for 8 hours a day for a whole week. But I think I'm not the person who's like able to direct myself to do like a huge project. Like I'll come up with an idea at a time, and I can't plan something out like that's like big and grandiose. Like I might be like, ooh, I want to build a tower, and maybe the tower will take me 40 hours to do. And then once the tower is done, I'm like, okay, that's Minecraft for the next year and a half.
I beat Minecraft.
Yeah. But because of the way the Builders is structured, I feel like it lets me do a lot of little versions of that over the course of its run, which is really nice.
I'm getting some. Despite my Switch being like 4 feet from my Joy-Cons, I'm getting like some weird communication issues where you like, oh wait, no, I guess technically it could just be Joy-Con drift, but I think it's actually it couldn't be Joy-Con drift because these Joy-Cons were just repaired this year.
I have still never had Joy-Con drift. I bought 4 Joy-Cons at the start of the Switch
motherfucker.
era. I don't have a single drift issue.
Wow.
I don't even know what drift is like. Is it just like when you nudge the analog stick and it stays outside the dead zone slightly?
Yeah, it's like you push left and it just keeps going left until you push a different direction or something.
Let me
see. Maybe I'm looking for Golemite.
I saw
probably
someone the other day saying that you can spray WD-40 electrical contact cleaner spray inside the thing of a Joy-Con, and it will fix most drift issues, at least for a while. So, hot tip for anyone out there that doesn't want to spend a month
the day's
waiting on
over
Joy-Cons.
already.
Did you hear my tip?
Your tip about WD-40, yeah.
Well, specifically the electrical contact cleaner WD-40.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Don't go spraying normal WD-40 inside your Joy-Con.
Hey, you could. It's fine. Hey, there it goes.
I don't think it's really fine. It's not a good.
No, it's not fine.
That will extremely gum up the works.
What? Oh, I'm going to bed. That's what I'm doing. What is some of the primary differences in the gameplay systems from Minecraft and Dragon Quest Builders here is there's like a system whereby the game detects what rooms you have. It's like a room needs 4 walls, 2 blocks high, and a door and a light source. So like if I just break this wall here or this door, it'll be like, oh, this room got destroyed, this kitchen got destroyed, and then I put the door back and it'll detect those rooms again because you have like a little score, kind of like scores your little town here. My town is level 4.
I've been trying to win something on eBay.
Oh?
You know I'm not a big eBay head.
I do know that about you.
But, so, I have been slowly, for the last, couple years, saving up to get a nice turntable to play my records on. I used to have a nice turntable, but I broke in a move, and it's hard to find a good turntable these days because, the whole world isn't buying them, and so to get a good one, prices have kind of increased.
Yeah, it's that like disappearance of the middle thing where it's like
exactly
there's ultra hi-fi turntables and then there's like garbage turntables you can buy for $20.
Right, and yes, if you're buying a turntable under $100, the chance that it's like a piece of shit that is made from the same like super mass-produced component that actually has a pretty good chance of damaging your records because it pushes down the needle so hard on them. Like those Crossley suitcase ones, I've heard can do some pretty serious. You can't adjust the tracking force of how hard the needle pushes down, and so some of them are fine, and some of them push down like 5 times more than they should on your records, and like scratches them.
Just get the record bus, the plastic VW bus that drives on your records. That's all you need.
That's funny. I actually just saw, because I was watching a bunch of Technomone stuff this week. Tecmo, not Technomone. Anyway, that channel rules. I've loved that channel for a really long time.
Yeah, it's a good channel.
But I was watching some of his turntable videos, and it was just in the side thing, and I remembered or it was either the caption of the video, like in the thumbnail, or it was in the description or something, that called it a vinyl killer because it destroys your records. It's really funny.
Well, at least they have the decency to tell you that. They're like, this is a toy, do not use this for any valuable records.
Yeah. Anyway, so the price on this is astronomical, but Shit, SHIIT, they make I would say high value.
This!
I know, that was very cool. They make pretty high value audio stuff typically. They put out a turntable that was like $700. It's a lot of money, obviously. But all the word on it was like, wow, this is really fucking good for $700. You get a lot for your $700
For
here.
$700.
Yeah. Well, turntables go up to like 10 grand.
No, I know.
And the disappearance of the middle that you're talking about, the result of that is that turntables that cost $500 in the 80s, you now are beating turntables that cost like $2 grand, basically. To the point where a lot of hi-fi, like audiophile turntable manufacturers don't even publish their specs because they're not good. That's a sort of red flag for me if you're not putting out your signal to noise ratio, or your wow and flutter rates, and your turntable costs more than $200, then that's shady to me. But I was saving up for this thing, and then I got an email last month from Shit being like, hey, we are not manufacturing this turntable anymore.
What?
Because it was too good of a value. We were not making enough money. Yeah, it was really beautiful. It was extremely heavy, made of metal. It was all metal. It came with a really good cartridge. That's the bit where the needle lives. That's the thing that, if you don't know about turntables, the cartridge that you put in it, there's, umpteen choices of cartridge to go in there, and it's a big thing that affects how your turntable is going to sound. Maybe more than the turntable itself is the cartridge. So I've been slowly saving for a turntable that doesn't exist anymore. And I was like, at the same time, I was like, damn, I did pick a good one.
Right.
It was such a great value that they stopped making it, but I didn't buy it in time.
Right.
So I've been trying to figure out, well, what am I going to get instead? And I think all signs point to, or almost all signs point to, that I'm going to get like a turntable from the 80s and just
Right.
fix
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do.
And so that's why I've been on eBay. But there was I thought a really promising looking turntable. Technics put out in the 80s a series of linear tracking turntables, which is like, instead of having an arm that pivots across like the turntable that's the picture in your head when you think of turntable, instead it has a perpendicular bar that pulls a stylus across.
Okay.
And there are various reasons why it's either cool or a gimmick.
Do we
Say
want
again?
that? Is this? I mean, I know this is just what you're you're talking about this right now.
Right. So I will tell you, someone who might be a real like linear tracking head, I'll tell you what they would say, which is that, well, the lathe that cuts the record cuts it in the same angle that a linear tracking turntable plays it.
Okay.
And so because of that, you're getting a more accurate read because that's the way the record was produced.
Sure.
And also, the arc of the arm causes tracking errors, which is when the turntable, skates around in the groove and leans harder against one side or the other. And that also causes something that's called inner groove distortion. These are both real things, which is that the further inside the record you get, the worse those problems get, because the more off axis the needle is reading things. And those are real. The extent to which a linear tracking table helps those things, I think, is arguable. But that's what someone who's an advocate of this basically extinct kind of record would say. But they look fucking sick. They look so cool. So that's why I want one. And also, they were really good. Like, it's also a really good turntable on top of this, this weird stuff. It basically looks like a Laserdisc player, or like, it looks like what if a CD player got blown up to play records. It's the Technics SL10 is what I'm thinking of. I saw it and I was like, this thing is sick. Let me read about it. And then I read about it and they were like, everyone loved this design. It's in the Museum of Modern Art.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I get it. That's how I felt about it when I saw it. But they made a bunch of different versions, cheaper versions of it, including the Technics SLQ6. And so I was like, I should buy a Technics SLQ6. And they go from like a couple hundred to a few $100 on eBay. But I found one that said it was not working properly, plays too slow, for $31. And I was like, I'm going to bid on this. Yeah. I was like, I can fix that. Plays too slow?
Yeah.
I can fix that. That's not a problem.
Right.
And I slept through it. I slept through the end of it. It was $31. It sold for $50.
Ooh. What do they cost in good condition?
In good condition, they cost like, I'll say $400.
That's a lot. That is a big discount.
Yeah. It looks perfect. Like, the condition of it looks perfect. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think that there's maybe some of the connections need to be like reflowed, or the capacitors need to be replaced, because they're just, capacitors just leach power over time. So you've got this thing that's supposed to be like, 100 microfarad value, and instead is like 50 because it's 30 years old.
Or it needs to be lubricated, or like one of the belts is like
that was the third
grippy.
option. I was just going to say one of the belts. But I don't think that the belt would cause it to play consistently at the same slow speed. I think it would cause it to play at inconsistent speeds. Yeah. That's just my impression. But yeah, super bummed that I missed out on this turntable. Here, I'll send you pictures of these.
It's nighttime. I'm out in the wilderness, but instead of returning back, I've created my own little room to sleep in, and now I will sleep here. This isn't first person. This is just third person, really close up. It's not quite as good as Minecraft, let me say. Oh, but actually, here's my overhead view of where we are. The great thing about this game, though, is that once you get like your first, early in the game, you build a thing called a Colossal Coffer. And that is a chest that can basically hold all your items and is accessible from anywhere. So just at any time, it's like, oh, I want to build a bed, and I can just open up my item menu, and I have my whole, like, all of my items available to me. And I can just warp them into my pocket. And that's very nice.
I've sent you a picture of this.
Oh, no,
this
my bad.
turntable. The SL10 is obviously the best one to get. There's also an SL15, which is, I would say, just as good. And some of the later, cheaper ones have like better electronic like features, but like worse build, The SL15 is a lot harder to find and is sort of the best of both worlds. But look at that fucking cool thing, right?
This is the record player?
Yeah.
That's pretty 80s.
That's super 80s. Full die-cast aluminum body. That's not plastic.
Wow.
That's early 80s. Late 80s, that's your plastic era.
That looks weird. That's not what I expected.
Right? It looks fucking weird, right? I love it. Some in the chat, I missed it, said, Minus says belt driven kind of sucks. Yeah, that's the thing. All the record players you can get these days are belt driven. The reason why a record player would be belt driven, that's a positive, is like, oh, the motor is separate from where the record is.
I just learned about this like yesterday. I didn't realize that like I knew that belt driven is bad at the low end and you want direct drive, but then at the ultra high end of record players you want belt driven again because then the motor can be put far away from the record.
Right. This is the exact sort of, but the problem is that I think the popular understanding of where that middle is kind of skewed. You really got to spend a lot of money to find a belt driven table that sounds quieter than a direct drive table, which is something that I didn't understand for a long time. Again, we're talking about teeny tiny differences. Like if you got a belt drive table, don't worry about it. I think I'm just a lunatic about audio. We're talking about like, minus 74 decibels for a belt drive, and then maybe minus 78 or 80 for a direct drive. Oh no, can't swim.
Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't so bad. I forgot to put my Stone of Guidance in the room that I made. Or sorry, my green Naviglobe. Why did I think it was called a Stone of Guidance?
So, I guess long story short, if anyone out there has Technics SL10, SL15, SLQ6, or SLJ3, if they want to sell them, let me know. I want one.
Keith wants one.
I want one.
I'm not finding the enemy that I'm trying to find, so I'm warping back.
There's a bunch of other ones. Those are the three that I decided were like really worth it. It's got to be quartz locked. You want quartz locked, especially on an older table.
And that's something that uses quartz for timekeeping?
Yep. And then those other two both have like track scanning where you put the record in and you press like 3 and it just like finds track 3.
Right, yeah.
Which is cool.
I didn't know that was a thing until recently. That's cool. Then again, track scanning, it's almost like too high tech for a record player.
I agree, but there's something about these Technics tables, these like direct drive, these like closed lid linear tracking tables that throws out. It is basically an entirely new world of aesthetic appeal to me for turntables, where I normally like something extremely minimal and manual aesthetically, and then something about the early 80s like linear tracking stuff breaks my brain and makes me go like, I want the most stupidly advanced record player
from the 80s.
From the 80s.
I mean, that's your fucking stupid car with the monochrome.
I was just about to say, yes. Yeah, thing. It's like my car, yeah. It is the
I want the pinnacle of high-tech luxury from 1986.
Yes. And I feel like for some reason I've always been like that. I mean, I have my cassette deck that my sort of hand-me-down cassette deck that I got from my family. That is like the highest of the high-tech cassette deck from the mid-80s.
That's all you need, really.
It sounds so great.
Hang on, does it have auto reverse?
No.
Get out of here.
It does. I will. Okay.
You think I'm gonna switch the side? I'm gonna get up and swap sides every time I get to the end of an audiobook tape?
Oh, actually, I think it does have auto reverse.
That I got from the library.
It does have auto reverse, but I don't use it because I listen to both sides of my cassettes.
I don't know how prevalent this was, but I think like sometimes if there was ever like auto reverse cassette tape technology in like the 2000s that would work on like silence detection or something, I feel like audiobook tapes would fuck it up all the time or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of using the cassette, like the headphone adapter to cassette adapter thing to like listen to an iPod on a cassette player. You know?
Maybe.
But then it
Yes, that did happen all the time.
Yeah, it needs to have a free spinning cassette reel to let the cassette player think it's playing a tape, but if the wheel is too tight, the player will detect tension and it will think it got to the end of the tape and it'll stop. So I'll just be like listening to I'm listening to my iPod via cassette adapter, and then all of a sudden it stops and reverses. So it's like, wait, what?
Yeah. So my thing does not have auto reverse, and I can't remember if it's because it's too old to have it, or if it's because it's technically like a rack mountable studio thing, like this was for a radio station at some point.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
And I think maybe they didn't want stuff to be like automatically reversing.
I have to go through my doors quick, or the statues breathe fire on me.
Okay, this was first introduced in 1987 with a list price of $1,100 USD. And I'll tell you this, it has maintained that value.
Right? Yeah, that's the funny part about like old tech, is it totally does go back up.
Yeah.
That's why
beautiful sounding. It's not Dolby, it doesn't have Dolby S. I know we all love Dolby S. It doesn't have Dolby S. It does have a beautiful sounding Dolby C.
I think I saw a Dolby S tape deck in a Savers once, and I sent you a pic like, hey, do you want this or something? And I feel like I didn't want it until you got excited about it having Dolby S, and now I feel like I missed my chance to get a $20 Dolby S tape deck.
Yeah, you really should have got it.
I should have.
If it had Dolby S, it was probably a good...
It was a Sony. It was a Sony with Dolby S. It must have been great.
Yeah.
Back in the era when something being made from Sony actually was a guarantee that it was high quality. Unlike nowadays.
Yeah. It sucks. Now sucks. I'll say it.
Man, now
the 80s
sucks.
seemed like they ruled. Now
No.
sucks.
No. Hang on. No.
Now sucks.
If we were in the 80s, we would hate it and we'd just be like, man, the 60s, that's when it was real.
Everything about all of time has sucked.
Yeah, it really has. There's
but at
no
least
good
in the
time
80s,
to
you could buy cool technology
I really
stuff.
can't co-sign the 80s were good thing. They had 8 years of Reagan in the 80s.
Yeah,
And 2 of Bush.
Yeah, but the thing about our lives is that, like, they've
We're
all
just
just
dealing
been
with the
Reagan.
consequences
it's just,
of the
it's just
80s.
they've all been Reagan since Reagan. Like, there's no difference.
You're right. We should have been back then before the consequences caught up with their bad decision making.
Everyone's seen all the graphs that were like, look how everything was trending in the right direction, and then Reagan, and then everything started splitting to be bad. Like, hey, at least we could have been at the start of the split instead of the end of the split.
The start of the split. You will need Golemite. Shadow remains of stone golems. You can find golems. That's where I was. They weren't.
I'm
giving me
mostly
any.
kidding. Obviously, the 80s sucked the way that every time period has sucked. Like everything, some things are better and some things are worse. But boy, are the way that things are worse a lot worse.
It's funny to me. It's almost depressing thinking about how if we're not thinking about politics, we're just thinking about technology. It really is true, I think, that I would always just pine for an ephemeral past. I would always just think the tech of the past seemed a little cooler. Like no matter when I was alive.
I don't know. I have
If I had a record player, I would have been like,
tech.
what about wax cylinders and Victrolas though?
I've just always been so partial to 80s tech, even when other things from other times have appealed to me more. It's always been 80s tech to me. It is funny to have almost no affinity for the 90s, though.
90s tech?
90s anything.
I like
TV,
a lot of
I guess.
stuff
I like
from the
90s. I like 90s TV,
Yeah.
I guess. But
Reruns
yeah,
of the
90s
Transformers
tech, I
from
don't
the
think
80s? There was tons of great stuff
Like,
on TV in the 90s.
all the good stuff about 90s tech was just like dying holdovers from 80s tech.
Wait, what about... Well, I mean, there was the early internet in the 90s, but I'm not sure I really experienced enough of it to have an actual opinion about it.
Yeah, I don't think.
But there was the internet.
There was the internet.
There was the internet. CDs seemed magical because you could just tell it to go to the next song.
I mean, this is the original Rail says in the chat. I mean, this is sort of it. It was before they started making planned obsolescence for everything.
Oh my god,
and that's a
yes.
big part of it.
That's really
That's a big
true.
part of it. Like, it's besides phones, okay, so here's the thing. This is the thing about the 90s, I think, is like you start getting planned obsolescence stuff in the 90s and the early 2000s, but it was before things were really controlled by software and firmware. And so all the planned obsolescence had to be in the construction.
Right.
And so everything for 20 years was built like absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
because it had to
totally.
break. And then they started being able to go, well, we can make really
We
good
can just
feeling
make it
products.
good and then fuck up the
Fuck
firmware.
up the firmware on the back end. So it's like now we have these amazing wonders of technology in cell phones that if they were made in the 80s would be good for 45 years. but they just make the software not work for them eventually, which obviously they're all doing, even the people who got caught doing it and promised they stopped. And, of course, the people who never got caught doing it, they're all doing it.
Here's a great thing about 80s and 90s tech is that in terms of electronics, this was like kind of came away from this through my time with like cartridge modding and working with those chips and stuff, was like it was back when technology had gotten small enough that it wasn't annoying to work with. Like, it's not like you would open up an electronic and there's like a rat's nest of wires inside of it, but it was still when everything was big enough that you could work on it by hand. And like you didn't feel like you were going to break the whole thing because you were not a robot.
Right. Humans could work on a circuit board.
Human scale electronics.
Yeah.
This is what we need. This is what we need for America. We need walkable landfills and we need human scale technology. We need to have dedicated bike lanes in the garbage dump.
Nathan in the chat says, I think there's a distinctive smoothness to 90s stuff that makes my nostalgia brain fire. Sometimes I get that, but it just makes me think of like how smoothness ruined the sedan. Sedans used to be like sharp everywhere.
Yeah, I'm ready for
now,
boxy cars to come back.
Oh god, smooth cars make me. I mean, it folds over into everything. Now all I think about when I see smooth stuff is like stupid smooth cars, and they're just trying to get smoother.
Yeah, I think they look. I've turned on modern car design, and I'm like, make it boxy again.
Make it
I want
boxy
right
again.
angles.
Yeah. I'll say that design-wise, that's maybe the highlight of the 90s, the early 90s car design. Which again is just a linear evolution from the late 80s, but enough of its own thing. I think.
not getting any of this gosh darn Golemite, Keith. No matter how fun it is to say Golemite. I'm at the end of this chapter. I just need to, like, build one thing and then fight a boss. But I need this Golemite from the stone golems. I can tell that you're as worked up about this as I am.
I am. Sorry, Isaac is messaging me on Discord about dinner. So that was...
Wow, I'm not even as important as dinner.
No, sorry. One hot thing. By the way, if anyone didn't look up the Technics SL10, and then I think the best looking one, but maybe my third choice in terms of like how good of a turntable I think it is, the SLJ3. They just look so fucking cool. But the SL10 and 15 have a built-in record clamp, which is sort of like a hi-fi thing that you can buy for modern turntables and turntables in the past. Where you put it on top and it like clamps the record in place. It helps with vibrations and it helps with some skipping sometimes and just like keeping the record still. Yeah.
I actually have gotten 2 of the 3 pieces of Golemite that I need.
Oh, nice. But this built-in record clamp in the SL10 and the SL15, it means you can pick the record up and put it on its side, and it plays on its side and upside down.
Is this one of those Soundburger things?
Soundburger?
You don't know about the Soundburger?
No, Soundburger.
There's an 80s record player for you.
Oh, yeah, I've seen a lot of things that look like this.
There's like a bunch
Again,
of
I've seen a
those now.
Techmoan video about this, too. Yeah. But yeah, I've seen... No, it is not like a sound... I mean, I guess in a way it is kind of a Soundburger thing, sure. But it's like, what if you took the Soundburger and turned it into a fully enclosed and really high-quality turntable?
Let's see.
They even made one that was meant to be played vertically, but I don't remember which one that is. I don't remember the name.
I did go... There was a brief moment where I looked on eBay to see, like, what the cost of old...
No, John Davies is here and says, I'm the one who won the SLQ6 auction. John, no. Can I please have it?
What if that was true?
That would be really funny if that was true, but that would
John,
be... There's no way.
John, just get on Discord and then we'll play Uru. Get Jordan in here.
Yeah, Jordan and John. Get Jordan.
The funny thing is Jordan's also here. He's just not telling us. Now there's no fucking golems here. I cannot win.
Speaking of people in the chat, I think I've asked this before, but Nathan in the chat has the exact same name as a high school friend of mine. I assume that is not my high school friend. But if it was my high school friend, he does have a collection of my records that I would like back. Several like very old, like late 60s and early 70s.
The funny thing is he's been avoiding you all this time because of that, but he's fighting like, I could sneak a peek at a live stream. You won't.
No,
know the
sorry,
difference?
Nate. I need my Creedence Clearwater Revival records back, please.
You know,
it's not.
I was.
I thought that was the case, but I mean, if you also happen to have my Creedence records and some other stuff too,
I haven't seen that.
Here's my problem: is that I want to text Nate to be like, Nate, do you still have my records?
Okay.
But I also feel that it's rude to be like, hi, Nate. I know that we haven't talked since we got evicted from that, from that house in Milton 7 years ago. But I need my records back. That's not true. I saw him once since then.
I mean, you wouldn't. If getting your if the price of getting your records back was being friends with Nate again, would you be upset about that?
No, I have nothing against Nate.
So why don't you just text him and be like, we should be friends again. Also, give me my records.
Yeah.
If you, dear Nathan, If
Nathan.
you would like to rekindle our friendship, I will require 1 copy Creedence Clearwater Revival Greatest Hits, 1 copy Heavy Cream, 1 copy.
Sorry, excuse me. These were not Greatest Hits records.
I know.
These are real records, actual albums.
I just don't know any Creedence albums, of course.
That's fine.
Heavy Cream.
I don't remember
is the
what
name of an
records that
actual,
he has.
Heavy Cream is the name of an actual
That's
Cream
true.
vinyl Greatest Hits.
Yeah. I do wish I could remember which records that he has of mine. I just remember that one of them happens
Yeah.
to be.
Oh, sorry. By the way, if Taylor Johnson is watching the stream, I want my NES games back.
Do you think that's
Since we're airing grievances about
Yeah.
material items that we no longer have but would like back.
I believe that the Creedence album that Nate has is their debut album, Creedence Clearwater Revival, I think. But it could be a different one. I don't really remember.
Oh, I thought Creedence Clearwater Revival was the second album after their debut album, Creedence Clearwater.
Nope, you'd be wrong.
Damn it.
The second album is Bayou Country. But yeah, I've been. The weird thing is that I've been slowly buying records all this time, knowing that eventually I'd have a turntable again. So I have all of these vinyls from like Bandcamp that I've never listened to, because I haven't had a turntable in 4 years.
That's not so long.
No, maybe 5 years.
I was recently in a moment of madness. I went on eBay just to look at what the prices of like old Beatles vinyl would cost.
Oh, do you want to hear the thing that I'm shooting myself over? Literally shooting myself over?
Uh-oh. Oh, no, actually, first of all, I'd like to say before you tell me, don't shoot yourself.
Okay,
And,
so
and
putting
then
the gun
after,
down.
now that we've established that, you can tell me.
Okay. Sorry, responding to something. Okay, so I
By the way,
in
the Beatles albums, a little too expensive for
yeah,
the
they're a little
crappy
too
quality
expensive.
that you would get.
They've had some really nice remaster pressings that are totally fine. Besides, you don't want any of those early records anyway. No, you probably do. Anyone would.
Why?
Well, they probably got played a lot, and so they probably sound
Well,
old.
exactly.
Shit.
That's what it was. Is like I go like, oh, this is an affordable copy of the White Album, but then I look at the discs and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know though.
yeah.
Those are looking worn in.
If you just go to a vinyl forum, all you have to do is be like, hey, or find someone else who's already asked, like, what's everyone's favorite pressing of, Abbey Road? And people will be like, oh, we like the one from this year. And they're pretty much always really affordable new. Like, there's always some hemming and hawing about like, oh, I want an original, or like
Yeah.
there's something magic about my original, but it's bullshit pretty much. I mean,
Well, that's the other thing is that like I, as not an audiophile, I am actually not necessarily interested in audio quality above all. Maybe there would be something fun to having an extremely used copy of Sgt. Pepper's on vinyl or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know that I would actually care other than just having one.
yeah. The thing about vinyl is that it's so expensive. Like to get anything that sounds halfway decent. Like, I think that really good vinyl sounds really good. But the problem is, that for me, I wouldn't enjoy listening to, $150 table with a built-in preamp through cheap speakers, I would just be like, my headphones sound better than this. But if you get a nice table and you get,
I guess
I mentioned them already, but Shit sells the Manny, which is a turntable preamp.
Sorry, I just want to go over this again. Their products aren't shit.
No, they're really nice.
Okay, but they are shit.
Right. So, okay, I will say, to save everyone the time, audio people are obsessed with this. They are obsessed with the name Shit, and they think it's so funny every time.
All right.
So I've heard...
This is the coldest take.
Right. This is the hackest audiophile take of all time is haha shit audio. It's even on their website they make this joke.
Well, with a name like Shit, it has to be good.
They do have a halfway decent joke about how it's actually a German word and it's pronounced shitta, and then they're like, no, that's not true. It's just pronounced shit. But they make really good, really affordable stuff. The stuff that's more expensive, that stuff's also really good. But they have a $120 turntable preamp called the Manny, M-A-N-I, and as far as I've heard, sounds great. Sounds, it punches hundreds of dollars above its weight, is what I'll say. But without a decent turntable and a decent preamp and decent speakers, which you're now bumping up against $1,000, I think. Like your maybe can get there with like $700, but that's crazy. You've already got your phone. Get a decent pair of headphones, and you're gonna sound better. But the cost to entry is so stupidly high. But once you get there, I love it. I mean, I think it sounds fantastic.
Listen to this guy. So I want to break in here about Dragon Quest Builders. What's been going on in the story here is that there's been more and more monster attacks as we've rebuilt the city, and people are like worried now. It's like, oh, it's the rebuilding the city that's making them attack. If we keep building this up, more monsters are gonna come. And now Rolo, this guy, he doesn't believe it, and now he's suddenly like, the thing about building a city is we gotta start being selective about who can live here.
Wow.
To put it bluntly, if someone's going to do nothing for our town but get in the way of rebuilding work and spread malicious rumors, we better get off without them. We'd be better off without them. Sorry, get off without them.
We better get off by ourselves.
You understand what I'm trying to say, Kylie? I want to think
We're going to put up these walls,
about this.
Give our orgy some privacy.
Well, I haven't built an orgy right now.
I missed it, but John earlier said, I'm never giving up the SLQ6. I don't even own any records. Which that doesn't seem true to me. I feel like John probably has some
John owns records.
But anyway, vinyl is stupid. Don't get into vinyl unless you're prepared to spend minimum $700 doing so.
I've decided never to spend $700 again, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I actually, I would prefer that for myself, I think.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you get, I already have good speakers from like wanting good speakers.
By the way, I've got a long letter full of bad news to send to the Massachusetts Department of Revenue.
Oh, that's funny. That's another thing that they want me to spend $700 on too.
Oh, hey, Keith, do you
They originally sent me a letter saying, hey, I know that you probably meant to spend $700 on us already, but you forgot.
I have two very important things to talk about, Keith.
Okay.
One is one of my favorite mechanics in Dragon Quest Builders, which is that you can build something out of dirt and then use one of these items called cladding to change it into stone.
Very
later.
Cool. I like that. I don't think that's in 2.
Maybe it is, and you're just too dumb to know about it.
That's probably true.
No,
John actually doesn't have any records. I mean, that's fine.
Oh,
they're
wow.
stupid. They're expensive. They're dumb. Don't get records.
I recently got into...
I want the record fad to end so all the record stuff becomes cheap again.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we're moving into the cassette fad, so...
That's fine. I've already got a $1,000 cassette deck, so.
I recently, Keith, I got into, I think, what might be my first ever at-fault car accident recently.
Oh no, I didn't hear about this.
Just a fender bender. You didn't hear about it because the thing.
You didn't tell me.
The thing the guy I hit said. This is his line. He goes, "Hey, that's why they're called bumpers. Am I right?" I'm like, "This is my guy. I love this guy."
Yeah, I like this kind of guy.
It was more just like a scuffing. I got like one little dent on the front bumper of my car. That is a bummer, both because it's a lease and just because I didn't want it to be dented.
Where is it? On the front or the rear?
The very front. Yeah.
You might be able to get in there and pop that dent out.
It's very small. It wouldn't. It's like a very small and kind of sharp dent.
Well, literally the day after I bought my Fiat, someone hit my car in a parking lot and put a huge sharp dent in it, and I was all unglued about it until 2 weeks later. I opened the hood of my car, found the dent, and just popped it right out. Literally could not tell that it was ever there. So if you're curious, at least give it a try. And you know those
Wait.
you know those
Look at the guy who was worried about the town getting attacked by monsters. Now he's laughing like he was the evil one. What's he?
Oh no!
Why? He was what?
LaRouche.
How is Rolo the guy who's correct? That's like, we need to kick this guy out, and he's evil or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not. Whatever. But okay, here's the reason. The reason I wanted to bring this up though was because so embarrassing was that like kind of the reason I hit this guy was because I was distracted while driving, and the thing that I was distracted about was like laughing at my own joke that I made up in my head while I was driving. And so now I have to tell you the joke to see if you think it was worth hitting a guy's car for.
I'm leaning no, and I do want to put that out. That is my bias.
Well, hang on. I think you should want to not be biased about this. I think you should want to be very impartial.
Okay, I'm crossing out that bias.
Okay, thank you.
I'm turning into a guy that doesn't care if he gets in a car accident or not.
Wait. What?
Right. Well, because if I don't care if I get into a car accident or not, then anything might make it worth it. Like, ooh, I could go for a chicken sandwich right now, but I have to get into a car accident to make that happen. Seems fair.
Okay. All right. Well, I think someone on a podcast brought up the concept of having to teach your kids the right context in which to swear or something. And I was thinking about like what's the right context in this modern society of ours?
Yeah,
are there still any
taboos
taboos around swearing?
No.
And I thought maybe there are. For example, you can't swear at a librarian, right? Because you don't want to be the one responsible for raising the guy who's like, excuse me, where's the fucking mystery section? And then I hit a guy's car.
I would want to raise that guy. That guy sounds awesome. Because that's not, I mean, because I want to be fair about someone who might want to swear at a librarian, or swear to a librarian, not necessarily at the librarian.
Sure, okay.
Because they didn't say, hey, where's the mystery section, you fucking book nerd?
Oh, yeah, I mean, the librarian hadn't done anything, like, egregious to this person. They hadn't, for example, withheld a payment that they owed to them for over 30 days for no reason other than their own incompetence, Patreon. We're mad at Patreon because we're broke and they didn't pay us last month. They won't pay us your money.
They won't pay us your money.
Go email Patreon and tell them to pay us your money.
Because here's another version of the Swearing at the Librarian. You walk in, it's a nice library, nice big library.
Okay.
You go, whoa, look at all these damn books.
Ah, shit.
Ah, shit.
These books look good as fuck. Damn, girl, where'd you get all these books? How'd you fit them on these shelves? So this, I think, this is my final battle here of Chapter 1.
So did you have to do an insurance thing with the car, or did you just go like, who cares?
No, we just literally went, who cares? And
Nice.
drove off. Yeah, that was great. I liked that. It will cost if I end up returning the car rather than taking the option to purchase at the end of the lease. I'm definitely gonna have to pay for it.
Again, try to pop that out.
I will try.
So here's the suggestion that I was
It
going
looks
to give
like
you.
it might have already like ripped the the paint might have like rippled at that area.
Yeah, maybe, but then that's a rippled paint. That's so
Yeah.
much like less of a thing than a dent, because what they'll do is they'll just get a stupid fucking like Popsodent thing, for $12. I mean, which they already own because they have that.
Right.
They'll get like a suction cup thing and just suction cup
Oh,
it
sorry.
out.
I
in 4
leased
minutes,
this
but they'll
car
charge you
from
$300.
Popsodent. So honestly, if they're expecting a pristine car, it's their fault.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're renting it from Popsodent, then presumably they want you to bang it up so they can try out their as seen on TV products. You obtains a seed of life.
I obtains a seed of life. That will raise my life. In this game, you don't level up. Instead, story events will give you a seed of life, and then you eat it and your HP gets bigger. That's why I was avoiding all those enemies, because I don't need their experience. Alright, let's talk to... Oh, so that wasn't the final battle. That was the final battle before the final battle.
The pen final battle.
The penultimate battle.
That's what I said.
When the Golem's army won't be defeated that easily. Oh no, there's another one. Oh yeah, let's go.
I was cleaning my office the other day. I haven't done like a good clean of the office in a while.
Oh.
And here's what I hated about cleaning the office. We have so many cables. I feel like I just spend, every time I clean, I spend like 2 hours figuring out, what is this cable? Do I need this cable? Where should I put it? Wrapping it up all neat, putting it away. And then I go, okay, time to use one of these cables that I wrapped up. And the process of taking out one of the cables that I wrapped up ruins all that hard work
Yeah.
immediately.
I have instead,
I did a better
what
job.
I've done is, and this is not, I mean, I get this system is working. It's working better than any system I've devised for this so far, which was that I separated all my cables into cable types. Then I got giant Ziploc bags and used a Sharpie to label them with, like, this is the bag for USB-B. And then I just put them all in there. And then when I need a USB-B cable, I look for my USB-B cable bag.
I like that.
It's working all right. The thing is, of course I don't want to put them back. So eventually, like right now there's an empty Ziploc bag on my bedroom floor that says XLR. So if I need an XLR cable, I know it's not in this empty Ziploc bag.
Right. So all that says to me is that you're giving yourself a process of elimination. At least you know where it's not.
Yeah. I've also done this for my game consoles and stuff. This actually took hours and hours of work when you factor in the game consoles. And then, of course, you can't fit all the controllers and cables for one system in one bag, usually, so then I have to have, like, multiple Dreamcast bags.
But I was doing this because I got a new chair, because I think I mentioned last time that my chair broke. In the metal bit, you can see where the thing was soldered together. It tore along, or welded together. It tore along the weld line, which says to me that it was just a weak joint, like a weak weld joint.
Yeah.
And so, because it was torn along the weld line, it was just constantly angled like 20 degrees forward, which was super uncomfortable to sit on.
Yeah, I bet. But hey, torn along the weld line sounds like an opportunity to take up hobby grade welding. Then you just have to weld it back.
On my mouth is agape that I didn't even consider that.
Wow.
Although welding is a real strain on electricity, and I'm sort of afraid I would just blow the circuit if I even tried to weld something in this apartment.
Yeah.
This is why I can't be in an apartment. My hobbies are too loud. Like, I want to listen to music through speakers. I want to play my drums. I want to weld. I constantly want to be using my router.
I've been doing Rock Band drums recently, but I can never do it for too long because I'm always imagining that my landlord is upstairs hating me.
Well, here's the thing. The only apartment that adjoins to me, the new tenants, first of all, they did knock on my wall one time because I was listening to music at 3 a.m. and I guess they could hear it. Ooh. But I don't know if this is the same people that did that. I think it is. They're new. But they have a husky who this morning spent 5 hours howling.
The notoriously most annoying breed of dog.
My husky never howled like that, but sure.
Huskies are a howling breed for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I assume that the husky was left alone and they just spent. I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule, and so that hasn't been working. But it meant that I went to bed at midnight and woke up at 4:30 a.m. and then I was up from like 5 to noon. And that entire time the dog was howling. Like, not constantly, but for like 10 minutes at a time every half hour. And so now I'm like, great, I can play my music however loud I want now. Yeah, we both have annoying noises. Sorry.
Right.
This is sort of what I liked about my neighborhood that I lived in when I was living in the house in Providence. Was like the neighborhood was so loud that it just always felt like permission to be as loud as I wanted to be.
Yeah, you were never going to be louder than your music was never going to be as loud and annoying as how loud and annoying their music was.
Right, exactly.
It was so loud all the time.
Yeah. It never bugged me. It bugged Isaac, but I was just like, I don't know, they're having fun. And that means that when we watch a movie, it can be super loud.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were playing like super annoying music, but there is something annoying to just having to listen to someone else's music. I
disagree, but the only thing that ever bugged me was that I don't know who or where it was, but there was this. I could always hear this bass line coming from somewhere. And there were a couple times where it felt like the same exact song was playing for like 15 straight hours.
Ooh.
And it was like this one bass line.
I'm sorry. That was me, actually.
Oh, okay. That was you?
Yeah, I did that.
It was at the very back of like the it was like barely audible,
Yeah.
but it was just loud enough to always be there. The same like 12 notes over and over from about noon to 3 a.m. Like it was grim. That sucked, and that happened a few times.
You haven't listened to Stop Podcasting Yourself recently, right?
No, not in years.
I think it's Graham who has like he's always talking about which person in his apartment building is driving him crazy that month or whatever. And apparently they had his upstairs neighbors or some neighbors in the building like just recently had a baby, but now they're constantly playing the song Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton all the time.
Okay, that's very funny. I was prepared to be annoyed with someone being annoyed at.
Yeah.
I try my best to only ever be annoyed with close friends and family, and never with strangers.
That it's just in case anyone doesn't know, the song Tears in Heaven is a song written about his child who died as a young child.
Yeah.
And why having a child would make you want to listen to this song about a dead child, I can't fathom. But
maybe they're funny.
I
mean, you're a parent. Did you ever think that maybe it would be funny having a new child to think about that child being dead?
No.
As a joke. As just like a joke.
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Like you know that thing that parents will do where they're like, joking about dead children isn't funny. Like that's what happens to you when you have a child, is all of a sudden your brain decides, oh, dead kids aren't funny anymore. The strangest part to me is that the idea that they keep playing this song all the time now.
It's not a good song.
I don't actually know the song.
I
wonder if one of them is like a musician and they're like, oh, this is going to be the new song I learn. This baby has made me think about songs about babies, and I'm learning
It's also a weird time to be into Eric Clapton.
Why is that? I don't know anything.
Oh, he's just been making an ass of himself about COVID-19.
Oh God.
He's been boycotting venues that make
great
masks and stuff.
So
he's
finally someone brave enough to stand up and take a stand. Thank you, Mr. Clapton. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick.
So what's up, everybody? Alan says, legit thought Clapton was dead. Nope, Clapton's not dead. Clapton is touring. Doing tours at only places where people are not vaccinated on purpose. No vaccines, no masks. And then I was going to say, I don't know if Kylie can hear me. Kylie, shout if you can hear me still. Well, it's not that important, but I think Eric Clapton is also a racist, so anytime people are mad at Eric Clapton, people remind everyone that also he's racist.
I'm back.
Hello. Did you have your headphones with you?
I did, but I put them on my neck like a rebel, and I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, I was just adding to the Clapton thing, which is that whenever people are mad at Eric Clapton, you start getting reminders that also he's racist. So
Good.
That stuff, old recordings of him being really racist also were going around. I don't know if he was also racist recently, or if it was just like people who are mad at him for being like anti-vax and anti-mask.
And it's like, oh, by the way, also
and
he's
racist. Yeah. So.
Hey, get down here. Hey, get down here.
Big disappointment. Another old musician doing, anti-mask, anti-vax tours is Van Morrison. That's a big bummer.
Really?
Yeah.
Lame.
I don't know anything about Van Morrison except that he's famously
he really
kind of
wants
an
you to have a
asshole.
wild night. Keith, people were wearing the masks in Wild Night. You think he wrote a song about a bunch of people wearing masks outside? No.
What are the masks with Wild Night? I don't know what this is.
Wild Night is a Van Morrison song?
Is there a music video for it with people wearing masks?
No. It's just like it's just like a song about like people are out on the town, and it's like you think he when he wrote that song, you think he was imagining people with masks on? No.
Sorry. Yeah. I understand now. I thought you were saying, how could he be wearing anti-vax? The people in Wild Night were wearing masks. And I was like, how do you know that? What
he
are you talking
originated
about?
masks.
Well,
Keith, speaking of playing your music so loud that it bothers your neighbors, I just finished Get Back recently.
Me too. The only thing that I had left, we talked a couple weeks ago about how I also still had not finished it. It was last week. The only thing that I had left was the rooftop scene, and I pretty much knew that. So I had seen essentially all of the movie had to offer except that. But yes, I am finished now.
How about that cop though that sits in the lobby?
How about big hand for Mal Evans pretending to run around shutting off stuff and then going back to the cop and being like, "Oh, is it good now?" And he's like, "No, it's still not good now." Maybe one of the best scenes in the movie, he like switches off George Harrison's amp, and George Harrison looks back at him, and Mal just like shrugs, and George Harrison just flips it off or back on, and then Mal goes back to the cops, was like, "I did what I could."
Yeah. But honestly, that was so good. Part of me wanted it to keep going, and they like slowly. The set ends by their amps all getting slowly turned off one by one. I thought would have been fun.
I also really love, I know that there was not like a big confrontation with the cops. There was like a little bit of tension, I guess. But
they
really seemed like they didn't want to arrest the Beatles that day.
No, of course not. And it's so funny to me, the cop he's sorry. This like patrolman guy who is like looks all of 16 and clearly has no authority. He's definitely talking about making arrests because he wants to feel very important.
Yeah.
But then his boss
he definitely is like trying to be a big man or whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's very
I
funny.
also think that they didn't really want to be doing that.
No, I do. I fucking love his line where he's like, "No, I understand you have to record an album, but this is a bit much."
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I also love the interspersed cuts of like the interviews where 95% of people are like, "I think this is great."
Yeah.
And the occasional grump who is like, "They're disrupting businesses."
Yeah, the best they could come up with is they're disrupting business's lunch hour.
Yeah.
It's so
super
funny.
super silly. I like the interview. There was a lot of older people who you would expect would be like, shut these damn Beatles off, but they're like, "No, I love the Beatles. I think this is great." There's an old man who is like, "It really livens up downtown. Like, London needs a little bit of life back into it."
Or the one guy who's just like, "Oh, it's nice to get something for free in this city."
Yeah. But I do. So there's two scenes that I want to call back to, which I thought. Way back in the first hour of the documentary, they're discussing what the live show could be, and one of Paul's first ideas was let's do it somewhere where they'd have to arrest us.
Yeah,
which is an amazing idea. I think is such a cool thing for Paul McCartney to say.
Yeah.
I think it like the movie does a lot. I think for me to it makes them seem not like likable people. Like I've done a lot of liking their music, but not a lot of being like, oh, I really like them.
Yeah,
I think as people. But that was a great early idea, and to have that kind of culminate is fantastic.
Yeah.
That very early idea of like,
That-
let's do it in the Hall of Parliament. They'll have to like arrest us and drag us out. It's
Yeah,
so
the
good.
the part where he's in the middle of singing "Get Back" and looks behind him and sees that there's a cop right behind him, and he's like,
Yeah, and he does a very
"Woo-hoo-hoo."
funny ad lib about
Yeah.
like your mom doesn't want you singing up on the roof anymore. She's gonna call the cops.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
funny. He clearly is enjoying that the cops are there. But then the other Paul thing was there. It's at the very end of the pre. It's at the very end of their time recording the songs, and they're having this big long discussion about like, what is this? What we've been doing this for so long, but we don't really know what it is. It's Paul being too in his head again,
Right.
And he's trying to figure out what they're doing because this is me projecting, obviously, but like he feels lost in the project. He doesn't know what they're meant to be doing or aiming towards. But the way that he talks makes it sound like he's trying to be in charge, even though really what he's saying is "I'm lost and I need help." It just sounds like he's being pushy. But then they all discover, oh, we actually have enough songs for an album. Like we don't have to learn any more songs. We learned all the songs we need.
Well,
But
some
they still
of
don't
them
know what the
did.
live show is. No, they count them. They're like, oh, that's 13. That's the album. There it is. But they still don't know what the show is. And like, Glenn Johns goes over to him and like it's not mic'd, and he's like whispering an idea to him, and the idea is the rooftop thing.
Yeah.
And they just like get a really good close up on Paul, like his eyes wide, and he smiles a little bit and he nods, and the text on the screen is like, this is Glenn basically pitching the rooftop idea. I thought that was really good.
But then
too,
in the
just
end, Paul, I think just like both out of maybe
Oh, right.
feeling like
Yes.
it's rushed, but also out of just sheer nervousness. Like suddenly,
Right.
then at the last minute is the one who isn't sure that he wants to do it.
Yes, you're right. That I told these two out of order. You're right. That did happen. But it was because he thought that they didn't have enough songs for the album, and they went through and they counted. They like kind of argued about it. It was like the last disagreement. It was the only disagreement that happened between George Harrison coming back and the end of the movie. Basically, was like Paul being like, "What are we doing? We need to still record the record." And George was like, "What are you talking about? We just recorded the record." Like we finished doing it already.
Yeah,
And
I
that was-
remember a part where John says something like, George thinks we're recording an album and Paul thinks we're rehearsing for a show. So if we can't figure out which one we're actually doing, it's not going to work.
Right. Or it was George thinks we're recording an album and Paul thinks we're rehearsing the album and that we're going to record it later. And it ended up being the former because they all just kind of fizzled out. But yeah, that's there is a scene where they go and they count, like Paul was like, "Oh, I thought we had to like write 3 or 4 more songs, but we basically have all the songs." Anyway, I thought it was so good. I loved every second of it.
It was a lot of fun to watch. I would say the first part felt the slowest. The parts where they don't have songs and they're trying to come up with songs was probably the least interesting part. But maybe I should watch it again. Maybe I think it was more interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Now. Oh God! Look at what is happening here. And yet we're back in the same place. Here's our big boss for this first chapter.
Oh wow, it's a bigger version of the same guy you've been fighting the whole time.
It's a bigger version of a guy that I fought a little bit.
I feel like you've killed 35 of these things.
Well, I had to kill a bunch of them this time because I was looking for that Golemite, of course.
Okay, that's fair. Ooh, your home is getting ruined.
Well, oh, I only have one of these things, huh?
Ooh, that didn't do anything.
That didn't do anything, actually.
It did 0 damage.
Yeah.
So I guess it didn't matter. You only had 1.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway,
No.
the real tragedy of
What
the real
the
tragedy
fuck?
of Get Back is that that's all there is. There's no more of that.
Yeah.
ever.
Though, I mean, like, you see through the course of Get Back that this is the time during which they write most of the songs on Abbey Road also.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the recording of Abbey Road, but it has all that other stuff.
Yeah, it has all that other stuff.
Paul's line about being anxious about the idea. He goes, "Oh, I can just picture it 50 years from now. Everyone saying the Beatles broke up because Yoko sat on an amp."
Great line.
It's amazing. 'Cause of course,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened.
Like literally that many years. Also,
Yeah.
though I guess people don't say that as much these days as they did a while back. But it has been 50
it is
years.
such a common thing still,
my
though.
God.
Like, I think it has become less popular
What
to
am I-
say that.
Oh, God,
but I think
I
a
was supposed
lot
to
of people
be-
still feel it.
Okay, actually, I'm restarting because I was supposed to be picking up my invincible shield wall and putting them in the way of the boulders.
If you go to any interview with John Lennon where he's by himself and not with Yoko, the comments are just full of people being like, "Wow, John seems really happy without like that screeching banshee
Oh
next to
my
him."
God.
Yeah, it's like totally unhinged comment sections.
That's-
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I know that
weird.
YouTube comment sections are the place to go if what you want to
Yeah.
hear is the absolute worst people saying the absolute worst things, but I think even though sort of like the public perception of Yoko, her stock has risen over the years.
Yeah.
It has only risen because it was the lowest
So
anyone's
low,
stock
yeah.
could be on Earth, I think, for a long time.
Rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, and sorry, that line was slightly out of context. The bit about, oh, I can imagine this. The thing he says right before that, Paul says, is specifically that he doesn't think Yoko being there is a big deal.
Yeah. He's been.
Where's John? John, have you seen this album? Do you care at all about the Beatles? Is John still watching?
I don't know. Yeah, John, do you care at all about the
John,
Beatles?
where you
I feel
at?
like John probably cares about the Beatles. I could be wrong.
I bet John doesn't care about the Beatles that much. That's
Yeah,
my
that could also be true.
that's my gut
It's
feeling
weird.
about it.
Paul McCartney's weird, and he gives really weird interviews where, he's been asked the same questions so many
I
times.
know.
And so his answers
I
change
can't
because
imagine.
50 years happen, and sometimes he'll say like, no, of course the Beatles didn't break up because of John and Yoko, and sometimes he will unequivocally say, well, of course it was John and Yoko, and then he'll clarify like they had this new life and they wanted to go build a new life together, and so the Beatles
Yeah.
stopped becoming a priority for him,
Right.
and it ended, and it's not a big deal, and it's like, okay, that's also a realistic
Yeah.
answer, like, but it sounds worse when he goes like, of course it was John and Yoko that broke up the Beatles. But then I don't know. I don't know. I've seen a lot of interviews with Paul McCartney over the years, and it's very hard to figure out which of his different answers is the real answer.
Yeah.
And it's probably because they're all the real answer. Like, I don't think he's lying in interviews or like getting things right or wrong. I just think that a lot of different things are true at the same time.
And also, all these questions are about stuff that happened 50 years ago. It's not as if he has, it's not like he was carrying a camcorder everywhere and he can review the footage. He's just going off what he remembers. And there's a lot of studies about memory that say that the more times you're asked to recall an event, the worse you get at recalling it, because essentially
you recalling it, not
right, because the recollection of the event becomes the new memory, and over time you can actually start to remember things that didn't actually happen, and that kind of weird stuff like that.
Yeah. And, aside from that, there's a lot of weird, contradictory studies about memory. I would not claim to know anything I don't claim to
I don't
know
remember.
what the reality of
I don't
memory
remember
is.
ever seeing any studies that contradict that, though. So, did it really happen?
Maybe because you've remembered it
Fucking gotcha.
that way so many times.
No, I can distinctly remember not remembering ever seeing.
John Davies says, I enjoy the Beatles, but I don't super care about them. I'll probably get to watching it at some point. If it was about Rubber Soul or Revolver, I'd probably watch it quicker. Those are two great albums.
I mean, I'll say
think,
I went into that documentary feeling like I didn't care about the album Let It Be very much, and now I feel like I love that album.
I've always said, again, I try to be consistent. I've always said Let It Be is a little bit, as far as something in the Beatles can be underrated, I've always sort of felt like Let It Be is underrated.
Hey, you want to talk about underrated?
Hey, that Glenn Johns mix is hot shit though.
I'm sorry.
They released the like super deluxe Let It Be, and it has the whole Glenn Johns second mix in there. Maybe it was the first one.
Second
he has two different.
mix.
He recorded the album.
Yeah.
So he made a mix.
Right.
And he presented it to the Beatles, and they were like, we basically don't like this or care about it. And so he was like, okay. And then they came back to him, and they were like, okay, try again, John. John's the tall guy.
No, I know who it is. Wait. Yeah.
He made it. He tried again. Slightly different tracks on it, and slightly different picks. I think, takes. And he brought it back to them, and they again were like, we basically still don't care about this. Sorry, Glenn. And then the Beatles needed a payday. They had basically already broken up.
The idea that they would have this album. The idea that they would have this album and not care about releasing it, to me, is crazy, because it's so good.
It's crazy. Well, it was really, I don't know for sure that it was because they didn't like it as much as that they were all trying to end the Beatles, basically. And so, but when, what's his name? Alan Klein, when Alan Klein came on and he was like, what needs to happen is that the Beatles need a bunch of money or Apple Records is going to go under.
Yeah.
He found this basically finished record, sent it to Phil Spector. Phil Spector mostly did nothing but ruined a couple songs, and then they put it out, and then they made an easy $10 million or whatever.
What are the couple songs that Phil Spector ruined?
He famously ruined The Long and Winding Road with some schmaltzy strings. And Paul McCartney was sort of on the record of being really mad about it. Eventually, he commissioned an album called Let It Be Naked, I think, which is they take out the studio banter, which I think is a big mistake, but then they put in remastered versions of some of the Glenn John stuff in a slightly different order. They basically make it a little bit less goofy, but they put out some of the best versions of those songs that exist. I think the best way to listen to it are like the Glenn John mixes. I think I like the second one better.
I mean, Long and Winding Road is not a song I care all that much about, but I don't think the strings make it bad.
I think if you listened to the version without the strings, you would like the song better.
I'll see. I don't know. There's that part. There's that part where they're like rehearsing it. I think I'm thinking of this when they're rehearsing it, and they ask Paul like, "Hey, are you gonna put strings over this later?" And he's like, "No, I'm not sure." And I thought to myself like, "Yeah, it definitely needs the strings."
Yeah. Well, I don't think that it doesn't need strings. I just think that Phil Spector's strings are bad on it. Again, famous murderer Phil Spector.
Famous, yes. Oh no! All right, I'm gonna have to restart again. I need more of these bombs.
So anyway, that's my take, is that you should either listen to the naked version or the super deluxe Glenn Johns mix.
I will.
I prefer the Glenn Johns mix. It's got more of the fun studio banter.
That's good.
That I think makes the album kind of seem fun and loose, which is what it was supposed to be. that Phil Spector kept that stuff in, partially, is the sort of saving grace of his work on that album, I think.
Yeah, I think Dig It is really fun. That 20
Dig It is
seconds
fun.
track.
Yeah. I mean, it's a longer track. The Glenn Johns version has a longer.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. But I was gonna. So I've been listening to the Beatles a bunch on Spotify though, and you can see how many individual plays the songs have on Spotify, and I Me Mine and I Dig a Pony are the two least listened to songs on that album by far, and I think that's really fucked up.
Dig a Pony is a top 5 Beatles song of all time for me.
I
think
love
Dig
it.
A Pony is
It's great.
phenomenal. What an unbelievably underrated.
Maybe it's the
Beatles-
title. Maybe people just see that title and go, I don't know what song this is.
What some of George Harrison's best work on the guitar, some of Paul McCartney's best work on the bass, some of John Lennon's best vocals.
Yeah.
I think it's just really, really good. I don't know why that would be a not very listened to song. It's tremendous. I mean, it's really great.
Let It Be has more listens than all the other tracks on the album combined, and I'm fine with that because that's a tremendous song.
It is, but it's not my favorite on the album. I do like it. Yeah, I like it.
I don't pick favorites.
I pick favorites. I mean, yeah, I pick favorites.
I don't think I could say if it's maybe this makes sense. I don't feel like I could say it's my favorite song on the album because I have loved that song so much for so much longer than any of the other tracks on the album. It's not really fair.
Yeah, that's. I think that and that song and Hey Jude are both kind of like that.
Yeah.
For people. I'm surprised that doesn't have.
And
So what you're just looking for the bomb material? Right?
yeah, now I'm just getting bomb material from these explodey guys. I think that's all I need actually. And I did actually. I listened to just one time each though. I listened to Paul McCartney's first solo album, McCartney 1.
Yeah.
And the first the first Wings album, and then Ram, which was his next solo album after.
People do not
Wings
like
album.
that first Wings album. Wildlife, is it?
Yeah, I have to say. Now, partially, I think this is because
you didn't listen to Ram though, which is my big suggestion.
I did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I listened to Ram. I listened to them in order, basically. Those were the first 3
So you
albums.
listened to
Paul
McCartney 1,
Yeah.
Ram,
No.
and then no.
I listened to them in publication order, as I always will.
So you listen to McCartney 1, then Ram.
Then Wings, then Ram.
What?
Those are the order they came out in.
Pitch me the order again?
McCartney 1, first
Okay.
Wings album,
No.
Ram.
No.
Yes.
Ram comes out before the first album.
I'm pretty sure I looked up the publication dates on Wikipedia. Anyways, I definitely want to give them all another listen. They really did not grab me almost at all. And coming away from it, I have to admit, I do kind of get why somebody at the time would hear those albums and go, this is the next thing Paul McCartney wanted to make?
Ram and Band on the Run. Again, the only two that I really recommended.
Well, I haven't gotten to Band on the Run yet.
Okay.
Because I have to
Well,
listen
that's
to
the
the
best- that's
second
the best
Wings
one.
album, obviously, before I can listen to their third one.
Just skip it.
Why?
Skip the first 2 Wings album. There is nothing to gain from listening to the first 2 Wings albums.
Wow,
I think.
that's cruel.
That's true.
extremely
I mean,
rude to the
there's-
first track on that first Wings album that was very good,
Okay, there's not a lot
and then
to
the rest
gain.
of it was totally
Technically,
whatever.
during that period is also when he did Live and Let Die, which is a fantastic song, but I don't think was actually on the album. It was a non-album single.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look at this discography. Albums. Yeah. McCartney 1, April 1970. Ram,
No.
May 1971. Wild Life, the first Wings album, December 71. So, yeah, I knew that this was the case. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll have to go listen to all three again because I did it in the wrong order. I got the totally incorrect experience.
So, for anyone listening who's not a weirdo who's insisting on listening to albums that aren't worth listening to, Red Rose Speedway, I think, is half worth listening to. Listen to Ram and Band on the Run. Those are the two.
You said people came away from that McCartney 1 album being like, this is a bunch of like unfinished songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way.
Well, they were, but I just don't think that's a criticism. Because he recorded it by himself on a 4-track cassette player in his, like, attic.
Oh, okay.
And it was not, like McCartney 2, was not meant to be released, and he released it anyway. And so...
Okay.
But there's some songs on it that I think are really good.
But remember you told me that story, like he was mad that they wanted him to wait on releasing McCartney 1 so they could put out Let It Be?
Right.
And I'm listening to this being like, what were you in a hurry for, Paul? This was the thing you had to get out?
But this is the thing. He wasn't the one in a hurry. They were in the hurry. He had announced this album months ahead of time.
Okay.
So they were like, can you delay your album so that we can move our album up early? And he said, no. What? No. I think McCartney does better. I think it's one that you need to grow with.
McCartney
And
1?
obviously the highs are really high. Maybe I'm Amazed is, I think, clearly one of his best songs overall, Beatles or No.
Wow.
Right? Everyone thinks this.
I don't remember that one, which is why I have to.
You don't remember that one?
I mean, I once you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, there was a song that said that on that album.
Yeah.
But again, I'm fully admitting, Keith, that I wasn't able to give it the proper, the proper chance that it needed because at the time, I wasn't ready to move on from the Beatles. My head was still full of Beatles songs. I kept getting distracted while listening to the album, and then I would be like singing a Beatles song in my head, and then I would be like, wait a second, no, I'm listening to a different album right now.
So, yeah, I think...
So, yeah.
I think that
But,
that means it deserves another listen.
I gotta say, I just, what is it about Ram? Tell me what's great about it.
All of the songs are what's great about it. What are you talking about?
Didn't
The
seem
songs
like
are really
anything.
good. Okay, let me look at the track
Remember you read that
listing.
quote that was like, no one appreciated this, but it was like the next wave of pop or something. And I was like, was it?
Yeah, it totally was. Okay, so Too Many People, the opening track, that's his like sort of John Lennon diss track. I think that the
He has a John Lennon diss track?
Yeah, they had a few back and forth. He had one, and then John went way overboard on his response,
God.
and that kind of was the end of it.
No kidding.
But yeah, it was a John Lennon diss track. He was basically being annoyed at John Lennon's like political stuff. Let's see. Let me. Too Many People
Now
contains
is
digs
my
at McCartney's former bandmate and songwriting partner John Lennon, as well as his wife Yoko Ono. I was looking at my second solo album, Ram, the other day, and I remember there was one tiny little reference to John and the whole thing. I think that this is a lie. I think there's more than one reference. John is like it's full of secret digs at me. The whole album is full of them, and then I think the truth is somewhere in the between, but probably closer to that. There's not that many digs to John Lennon, but he'd been doing a lot of preaching, and it got up my nose a little bit. In one song I wrote, "Too many people preaching practices," I think is the line. I mean, that was a little dig at John and Yoko. There wasn't anything else on it about the album. Oh, there was "You took your lucky break and broke it in two," basically being like,
Ooh.
the Beatles were a big important thing and
Yeah.
you ruined it.
Yeah.
So that was his diss thing, and then John Lennon wrote a song called "How Do You Sleep" about basically that Paul McCartney is such a bad guy. How does he even sleep at night? He later took it back before he died, but anyway, that song is great. The vocal melody on at the beginning of the chorus, I think, is one of his best bits of vocal melody. I like "Dear Boy," which is the sort of the song that he wrote about Linda McCartney's first husband, who he felt didn't appreciate her. Uncle Albert and Admiral Halsey is a sort of one of the many times that he does a sort of
Oh, he's imagining a guy, his favorite thing to do.
He imagines a guy, yeah, he imagines a couple people. And he does a little medley. I think it really works. I think it's great. Heart of the Country is a great little sort of twee thing that I really like. Monkberry Moon Delight, where he does a sort of rip-roaring vocal thing.
Oh, yeah, I think that was maybe my favorite song.
That's a really good one. That's a
fun
bunch of inside jokes that that he wrote about like his kids. The lyrics are all nonsense, but I guess they're just like little jokes that he had with his kids. That's cute. In addition to being a really good song. I really like Backseat of My Car, which is a sort of like, he's like trying to write a song about teenage rebellion, but he's sort of an adult, but also he didn't have a real life. He had a fake Beatles life. And so it comes across as only like half knowing how real people live. But I think there's a real charm to it anyway. It's a fantastic song. I mean, even this sort of vague sense that he doesn't know what he's talking about on the side. Yeah, I think it's a really great. I think it's a start to end a really interesting album. Very experimental.
Oh, whoa! I heard you say "good" and then change it to "interesting." I feel like we just got a downgrade.
Well, I think that's what makes it great is that it's good and interesting. You know what I mean? Like, he makes a lot of interesting choices. It's sort of it's like experimental.
Oh, fuck you!
I don't think this is doing a lot of damage. Is it?
No,
never
it's
mind,
what I'm
take
supposed
back.
to be doing.
Okay.
That's why I said, fuck you, because I was about to miss my one chance to damage him.
I don't think Ram is better than Band on the Run, but I think it's a lot different. But I think it's close. I think they're comparably excellent.
No, you piece of shit. Woo. Alright. Oh, come on! Woo! That's chapter 1, baby! I got some kind of medallion, a tarnished token, if you will.
Nice. By the way, for people listening, we've been having some trouble starting up the patron Let's Play for this time.
For Titanic,
For Titanic,
We've been having
Adventure Out of
technical
Time.
issues.
Some lots of different technical issues. We are still trying to get it working, but you should, regardless, sign up for the Run Button Patreon at youtube.com/runbutton. That is how you can support the show. We don't make any money in any other way from this show besides Patreon. We don't have ads on the channel. We are not independently wealthy. So if you like the show, consider signing up at any level. at patreon.com/runbutton.
No, that was my response to you saying we're not independently wealthy.
What did you say?
I said, God, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we don't. I don't make enough money from my current job combined with what I make from Run Button to live, basically.
Yeah. And I missed one because Patreon fucked us, and they failed to send. This first bit was user error, but the Patreon got sent to the wrong bank account, but then all that money disappeared, and so they still have not paid us for last month. And
Patreon support keeps getting as far as figuring out what the issue is and then not fixing it.
Right.
So I just submitted our third support ticket earlier today.
Yeah. And I basically am full zeros bank account right now after paying rent.
Yeah,
so.
I had to borrow large sums of money from at least 2 people in the last month. Not borrow. I had to request because I'm not returning it because I'm not able to. I had to just beg for handouts from friends and family this month. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. So go to patreon.com/runbutton.
We got paid for January, which is great. So we just have to get that 1 month that was missed. And let me see.
Well, we got paid for January, but that won't be in your account until
a couple
what day is today? It won't be in your account until Wednesday, and then you won't have it transferred to me until Thursday or Friday. So, it's a bummer.
Okay, so I think Cantlin, we have to restore the emblem. How do I restore the emblem? Do I just craft?
Speaking of, Kylie, you sent me that tweet earlier about what does living paycheck to paycheck even mean?
There's a tweet. Somebody with the screen name neoliberal quote tweeted a study that said 8 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and said, what does living paycheck to paycheck even mean? Which is just too funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. There was someone in the comments to that being extremely, even more annoying about it. I won't do anyone the displeasure of.
Yeah, we can imagine.
Explaining it, but they were they took this idea and ran with it to the extreme. Oh boy. Super annoying. Love those Democrats.
Yeah, I will say it's so funny. I mean, this is certainly better than the alternative, but the number of people that I have seen in this past year acting like they are uncovering the Da Vinci Code by being like, hey, wait a second, I don't think Democrats are that different from Republicans.
Yeah.
It's just been losing my mind. Literally saw a YouTube video from a guy that was our age who was acting like this was hard-hitting journalism. I did some digging on this, and it turns out Democrats don't actually fucking do anything good for anybody. Really?
I know that, everyone you can't know something until you learn it.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people who, quote unquote discover this, who have been told this for the last 5 years nonstop and have been being total assholes about it. Who then go, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that I just discovered that the Democrats suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw some headline that was some people are saying Democrats aren't that different from Republicans. We looked into it, and what we found might shock you. I promise that it will not shock me.
It turns out I am non-conductive on this issue.
I am non-conductive on this issue. All right, let's offer the ancient emblem to the Banner of Hope, and let's see what we get here.
I I will say I know that this is partially due to just long-term, culling of the Twitter following, but I tweeted recently about how glad I am that I didn't have to, feel the shame of having voted for Joe Biden.
Surely you're awed into silence by this right now.
Yeah, this is
surely you're wrapped.
No, I like it.
in wonder.
Look at it, it's a nice day now.
The veil is lifted.
I didn't even notice that it was cloudy.
Yeah, they kind of do they want it to be cloudy, but they don't. I mean, it still needs to be bright and friendly.
Yeah. I tweeted about being glad that I didn't have to feel the shame of voting for Joe Biden and just had a bunch of people like it. But when I used to say stuff like that, I used to have like 20 or 30 people unfollow me.
Oh,
I know
okay.
That what happens
I
is that
thought
those
people were still
going
to react negatively about it.
No. I mean, all of those people just stopped following me a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it also, maybe it's a little bit of like more people just feel that way.
Yeah.
Or more people are like, yeah, I guess I do feel bad about voting for Joe Biden.
Yeah, I saw one of those vote blue no matter who bumper stickers like yesterday, and I was just like, dude, don't even with me right now. Then morning comes. Wahahaha! So you finally woken up, have you, Kylie?
Oh, you were asleep?
I laughed so hard last night I thought my sides might burst. This is, by the way, this is not at all how I imagine this character speaking, so I don't know why I'm doing this. When I tried...
Oh, so it was LaRouche.
No, LaRouche is still over there, so apparently he's just being literal, like, oh, last night we joked so much with LaRouche, he's hilarious. And we tried Pippa's cooking. By now there's a new pillar of light somewhere else. And perhaps we might want to head over there. So I can continue to work on this area indefinitely, I think. But like you said, kind of like that neutral area in Dragon Quest Builders 2. Like, there's not a reason for it. And I think maybe I didn't explain this also. Part of what's frustrating about the chapter separation in the first one is that, like, I can't even build any beds more fancy than straw bedroll in chapter 1.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit about how it's not until you beat the game that you have all the unlocks to like build a nice place.
Am I supposed to just walk this way? Am I gonna like... it looks like there is something on my map, so I guess I'll walk towards it. This game is a little extra fun if you've played Dragon Quest 1 like I have, because all the music is from that game, and they're like nice, fun little arrangements. And also, like, some of the enemies, like the... are they called chimeras for some reason? The chimeras have, like, this extremely, like, bloopy NES spellcasting sound effect that they give, which is fun. I love the whole theme of Builders of, like, it being, like, an NES game, but it's Minecraft thing. I don't know why I'm so charmed by this, but I really like it.
It's weird that you're so charmed, because it's the basic premise. It's not like a surprise. You've been doing it for so long.
I just like it.
Maybe it's because I don't care about Dragon Quest that I don't feel
Dragon Quest is fun. I just like how happy Dragon Quest is. This is kind of like part of the... You know, it kind of reminds me of, like, you know, Pokemon Red and Blue, how it's like...
No.
It's like... Oh, you don't know those?
No, what is that?
They're turn-based RPGs on the Game Boy where you collect lots of different monsters. And you fight
collect them, but they're monsters.
They go in your pocket. They're pocket monsters.
They're pocket monsters.
Yeah,
so are you your character like evil?
Yeah, they're basically like, you know, dog fighting. It's like a whole world where everyone loves to dog fight.
Oh, but they're monsters, so who cares? Because they're not people.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have feelings, so it actually doesn't matter. Actually, they're all holograms that are made by machines based on the cards you put down on them, so it's fine.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Yeah.
But you are still evil anyway, like, even though it doesn't...
I mean, it lets you make choices about doing good things or bad things, but I don't know what happens when you pick the good things.
So
'cause
there's
I've
like
only ever
an
picked the bad
antagonist that
things.
offers you maybe that you can like go to the evil side or something, and you can say like yes or no.
I mean, that happens in Dragon Quest.
And Pokemon apparently.
I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do, Keith, right now? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna spoil Dragon Quest Builders 1 for you. Don't tell me not to.
Don't.
It's too late. I'm gonna.
No.
In the original Dragon Quest, when you get to the final boss, when you get to the Dragon Lord, he gives you a choice to join him. He's like, "Come on, join me. You and I will rule the world together as, co-Dragon Lords or something." And you can say yes or no. And I think if you say yes, he just goes great. And I think the game just ends. It just fades to black or something. Something like that. It's kind of a false choice. But throughout Dragon Quest Builders, your character keeps getting flashbacks to the past of the hero who supposedly defeated the Dragon Lord. And I guess what you find out at the end of the game is that you're the hero from Dragon Quest 1, but when the Dragon Lord asked if you wanted to join him, you said yes. And then that's what happened was you got put to sleep for 100 years and he destroyed the whole world. And it's your fault the world is like this.
No.
And that's why when you start the game, the narrator introduces you, but is very specific about telling you that you're not a hero. And you're like, what does that mean? And that's what it means. Because it's your fault that the world is so bad.
Which is the opposite, I think, of Dragon Quest Builders 2, where they call you a hero all the time.
Yeah. Though Dragon Quest Builders 2 is also similar because that one takes place directly after Dragon Quest 2, so it's also kind of like a spin-off of that game's plot.
Are they going to do a Dragon Quest Builders 3? Or
I don't
there was some
see-
reason why you explained to me that wouldn't...
I don't
That
see
wouldn't
why they wouldn't make a Dragon Quest Builders 3 since Dragon Quest Builders 2 was a bigger success than the first one by what it seems to me.
By a lot, I think, yeah.
So it sure seems like something they should do. Hey, if I was Square Enix and I wasn't a fucking idiot, that's what I would do. But
Tough.
hey,
Tough to be both of those things.
yeah, it's Square Enix, so God knows they could do anything. They could do literally anything.
And not in a you can do anything you set your mind to thing.
Right, no, they can't do most of what they set their mind to. That's why
Right.
they canceled the Final Fantasy 15 DLC that was supposed to finish the story.
They did?
Yeah,
Yeah, they did.
There was a bunch of story stuff missing from that game that had to be cut for time, and they said that they would add it later as DLC. And I think even took pre-orders, and they just said, "No, we're not going to do that."
And that was a well-received game.
It was
Sold a lot of copies.
people liked that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think I'm coming to learn. I think this has just always been Square. Square has always been managed terribly, and they've always been on the brink of bankruptcy, and then they save it at the end by making an incredible game that's very popular.
It's funny. It's sort of there are not a lot of entities who are served by being extremely corporately managed, but there's almost no one who does it as bad as Square Enix does. Where it's wow, being a business is ruining your business.
It's so true.
Because clearly they're not having a difficult time making games that people enjoy.
No.
But they are having a difficult time with everything around that to the point where they can't make games people enjoy. I don't know. It's very weird. It seems very weird.
It's very weird.
Like, you think it would be so easy for someone to just say, like, yeah, just like make it until it's done and we'll put it out. It sort of reminds me of EA's inability to release Star Wars games, where it's you'd think that this would print money, and yet you keep literally killing yourself instead.
I think they literally lost the Star Wars license or something, right?
They did. Disney, I think. I don't know if Disney broke the exclusivity contract or if they just announced that there will be no exclusivity contract going forward, and so people were like, "Oh, so as of when this runs out, we will be able to release Star Wars games." Yeah, that's what happened. They were like, it was a 10-year or 15-year contract. 10-year.
10-year, I think. And I think it has been 10 years. Like, I think we blinked, and that was the 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 2012 to 2022.
God.
And so, presumably, it's up next year. And
hey,
then,
we've
then
got
anyone
simple
who
beds
wants to.
now.
Oh, and by the way, it's oh shit. I'm blanking on the name now. What the fuck? Quantic Dream. They were like, EA's not doing a good job. Let's give it to Quantic Dream.
Wait, that's the
It's not an
David
exclusivity
Cage
thing, but
studio.
What's that?
That's the David Cage studio.
Yes, it literally.
No!
Yeah. Oh, did you hear about this? Yeah, the first really big game that they're pushing for the post EA Star Wars is Quantic Dream.
No.
Is a Quantic Dream. Yep.
God.
And okay, obviously fuck David Cage, and obviously he basically has not made a good game ever. Everyone likes the first David Cage game that they ever played because it's kind of interesting and different, but he's just made that same bad game over and over again for 25 years. And getting worse and worse at it also. Not to mention that there's like a ton of like workplace harassment allegations against Quantic Dream and maybe David Cage specifically. And was there like a racism thing? I can't
From
remember.
the guy who brought you "If robots were people, owning them would be slavery" comes the next Star Wars thing.
Right. So saying all that, the trailer looked extremely busy. And it's difficult to tell what even it is, if it's going to be terrible, what's going on. I don't really know. But it definitely didn't scream, this is going to be miserably bad. Yeah, but there also is not there's not a lot of showing you what the game's going to be yet.
Yeah,
so,
that's Quantic Dream. It sounds like Quantic Dream.
I'll tell. I guess basically what I'm getting at is it seemed like a sufficient enough cinematic trailer.
Oh, but you also remember there's been a lot of talk about the culture at Quantic Dream, right?
Yeah. I just mentioned that. Yeah, I already mentioned that.
I just want to make sure we're remembering all the bad stuff about Quantic Dream.
Yeah. I mentioned all that, and then I said, all of that being said, in addition to that he makes terrible games, this game doesn't look terrible yet.
Yeah.
It just looks like a kind of a kind of busy cinematic trailer. There's like a weird people with tattoos and piercings beating on a drum. That doesn't seem. I don't understand what that's about. They look like maybe they were Sith. I couldn't tell. I don't know. I don't know what this game's gonna be. I don't know. I haven't found the David Cage of it all.
What's all that then?
In this one cinematic trailer they put out recently. But yeah, David Cage is a miserable bastard. Quantic Dream sucks. All of his games are bad. There's no reason to be hopeful, and in fact, the one thing to be hopeful about was Disney being like, "Oh, we're not going to be exclusive with EA anymore," and then immediately fumbling.
That's so wild.
Yeah. But there's no exclusivity thing, so it doesn't matter that Quantic Dreams is making one game in the grand scheme of things, because anyone could make a game as long as they can get a deal with Disney to do so. And I think that means that there's going to be some good Star Wars games.
I actually think, and I don't mean to contradict you, you say anyone could make a game if they got a contract with Disney to do so. And I'm here to say that I think if I got a contract to make a game with Disney, I would not be able to make a game.
But I don't think that you could get that contract, so it's not a big. It's not. I still think
I don't know.
that's
David Cage got a contract. Couldn't anyone get a contract?
He's theoretically a successful video game developer.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess by the definitions of success that we operate under, we have no choice but to declare David Cage a successful game developer. All right, is that the end of the stream? Have we streamed all that we will stream?
Yeah, I think it's time for me to have dinner anyway.
Okay.
So, perfect timing.
All right, well, thanks, Keith, for joining me in playing
Thanks, Kylie, for joining me and watching
Dragon Quest
Dragon
Builders.
Quest Builders
And
1.
thank you so much for not being a negative jerk about it.
I wasn't.
And you weren't. And that's why I thanked you for that.
Okay.
That's,
Should I start thanking you for the mean things that you're not doing?
yeah.
Okay.
If it's thank.
Well,
if
when
it's
there's something
praiseworthy.
negative to thank you for not doing, I'll let you know.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Hey, I recorded this, but we're just gonna upload the stream, right? We're
Yeah,
not, like, gonna edit that. Okay, so delete that Audacity file. Great.